6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, hey, what do you say? It's that time of week again. It's Common Ground with John Thielon. Yeah, it's me. I'm your host, your coach of communication, your captain of collaboration, and of that common ground that we are all seeking, wanting, and going after. I'm also, don't forget, the mayor of Reeltown, your mayor of Reeltown. That just means, for, once again, any of you who may not know what that is, no nonsense, trying to keep things, working to keep things, I should say, as real as can be, right down the line, no BS, no nothing, no sugarcoating, real as real can be. Now, with some folks, of course, they don't get it, they don't like it, they think it's abrasive, it's aggressive. No, it's the right thing to do and a great way to do it, I have to tell you. Not to sound like Wilford Brimley, but you know what, he was kind of right. People like this, they just can't, they won't, and they don't want to live in Reeltown, and that's fine. They can be someplace else. Others, well, they crave it. So be a craver. Be a craver. We come to you today, as we almost always do, from the studios of Hamilton Media's Hamilton Radio. We are so convenient, it's not even funny. And there's reasons for this, not the least of which is, hey, you need a facility for a meeting, to do some recording, to have a little event for maybe 30, 35, 40 people. Come here. We're very affordable and we're very convenient, right where Interstate 195 and US Route 206 converge here just outside of Trenton and Hamilton Township. We're moments from I-295, from the New Jersey Turnpike, which is I-95, US Route 130. I mean, we're at the crux of easiness where it comes to finding us. So we're here. We're here, and we're also an iHeart radio station. I didn't know if you know that. I always like to mention, because a year ago, we were not. Also, Hamilton Radio is the flagship station for Common Ground with John Thielon, as well as the exceptional radio broadcast network, the ERBN. I've got to tell you, and I was listening earlier, like I do quite often. Yesterday, I was tuned into Indie Artist Tuesday. Gino, it was a great day on the radio yesterday, just so you know. He's in there. He's busy. But it was really great. Indie Artist Tuesdays. You can't go wrong. You know, good stuff that you'd never hear anyplace else. Plus, all the stuff that's like the soundtrack of our lives. It's where all the cool kids go to listen to the music or get the music fix, okay? It really is. Hamilton Radio. Get there by going to our brand new HamiltonRadio.net website. That's HamiltonRadio.net website. You can go to iHeartRadio.com if you like to and search for Hamilton Radio Oldies. That's what they classify us at. But however you tune in, turn on, crank up, it's the best. It really is quite good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. It's the best in entertainment, the best in music, all on one great station, HamiltonRadio.net. Oh, and while you're at HamiltonRadio.net, please visit early, visit often. Have a look at the Hamilton Radio donation information on the HamiltonRadio.net home page. Click on the QR code or scan it on your phone, however much you can contribute to Hamilton Radio, and whenever you can, it's hugely helpful and greatly appreciated. Then here's what you do. You ready? Here's the fun part. After you do that, I don't know, $20, $50, $25, $100, you know, $3,895, whatever you like. After you're done with that, email admin@hamiltonradio.net. Again, admin@hamilton, I put .com and I shouldn't have. admin@hamiltonradio.net. That's the email address you're going to want to email with your request list. Could be a couple few songs, could be a whole page full. Whatever you like, okay, within reason. I mean, because there are other people do this, but if you donate, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks, maybe, I don't know, half a dozen songs. Now, if you're ponying up with a C note, yeah, we'll be glad to hear about 15, 20 songs. You get the idea, okay? We're happy, super happy for the contribution, and for that contribution, whatever and however it may be, we'd love to play the music that you enjoy most by your requested via email, okay? admin@hamiltonradio.net. Real easy, admin@hamiltonradio.net. Once you click that QR code on the homepage of hamiltonradio.net, and contribute what you can when you can. No pressure, no nothing, just thank you. That's the bottom line. All right, now, as you might know, and if not, you're about to, I put together my monologues every week, my discussions with you, based largely on things that I've seen, done, or have experienced. Plus, I'll also incorporate some information, or a kickstart, if you will, or a theme, so to speak, from others. People like Rush Limbaugh, Steve Harvey, Joel Osteen, Zig Ziglar, Chris Lytle, Tom Hopkins, Earl Nightingale, even Ronaldus Magnus. That's Ronald Reagan, for those of you from Grover, Pennsylvania, by the way. Today, I'm going to couple the foundational philosophy that has grown with me and within me these last, I don't know, several years, with some of the thoughts of a friend. I call him a friend, Joel Osteen, who I just mentioned a moment ago. I like him. I like his words. I like his take, and I like his positivity. Yes, he is he's a pastor of Lakewood Church down in Houston, Texas, a big, well-attended operation, but he doesn't come at you wagging his finger in your face, you know, talking about, you know, fear and all that. Like him, you know, I may not be everybody's cup of tea. Lord knows that he's not everybody's cup of tea, okay? If you like him or not, let's put that aside for the next, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. It's about the message. It's about the words. It's about the thoughts, the take, the philosophy. And with that, our abilities, our capabilities as well. So, as I mentioned here just a moment ago, I'm going to A, keep it as real as can be, coming from my perspective and experiences, and B, we're going to tilt just a little toward the spiritual side once again. We did economics and politics, so to speak, these last couple of weeks. Let's go this way this week. I'm pumped. I'm ready. Let's begin, shall we? Let's dive right in. I want to talk about an addiction. No, not a drug addiction, not an addiction to booze or bad behavior. No, not at all. But an addiction to always needing approval. Whoa. You're like, what? Well, here's the thing. Too many people seem to need to make their decisions for themselves based upon what others in their minds are likely to think about them. Damn near everything with these folks, with this kind of person, is run through some sort of a filter, so to say. You know, how's this going to look? Or what do my friends or neighbors or colleagues or even family members think of me? Will they be impressed? Will they compliment me? Or will they look down their noses at me, roll their eyes, you know, all of a sudden maybe have a bad look on their face? Will they think less of me? Tell you what, instead of having confidence in who they truly are, you know, thanks to, here we go, to the boss, our creator. I always like to point when I say the boss. Don't know if he's truly up, but you know what? Up is better than, well, you know, down. But thanks to the boss, our creator, he's given us confidence in being who we truly are. Instead of having this confidence, people like this, they allow opinions of others to lay out the plans for what they do. Folks like these, they don't get it. They've got an addiction to approval. In the world of psychology, for example, it's called FOPO, fear of other people's opinions. And okay, it's true. Everyone's looking for some sort of approval, some sort of an affirmation, some sort of a pat on the back. We all like to be liked. Of course, that's a good thing to be liked. It's nothing wrong with that. But that's not a smart move to become reliant on what other people think about us, what we do, or how we do it. Doesn't matter. Everyone is not of the same mindset, let alone your mindset. Pardon me, so everyone is not going to understand what makes you tick. It just isn't going to happen. They're not going to understand what inspires you, what makes you you. Everyone will not cheer for, root for, or celebrate you either. There will be instances, situations, circumstances, scenario, and times when people will be for you. Raving fans. Might be for a moment, might be for a season. And then there'll be times when they will not be raving fans. They just won't. If that filter is in place about, I need to keep pleasing people, I need approval from others to feel good about myself, then you're allowing others to take control of who you are. Think about that. It's the truth. This just in. Your destiny has nothing, zip, zero, nada, el zilcho, you people, to do with what other folks think about you. Whether or not they like you, if they support you, if they cheer for you or root for you, approve you, it doesn't stop the boss's purpose for you and your life. It doesn't. When he put your plan together, there was no task force, a breakout group or a blue ribbon committee. No, there was no group chat or getting a hold of a bunch of your friends saying, hey, let's get together so we can decide who and how they're going to be. Now, it was all done on his, capital H, his own. The boss called you. He put you together. He gave you his positive thumbs up all the way, go ahead. Believe me, it's the truth. If we live always working on trying to please people, got to keep everybody happy, it's going to be nothing but an ongoing exercise in frustration. It's going to be exhausting. Continually, perpetually, ongoingly exhausting. Getting away from what other people think about you, that's the ticket. Chapter and verse. You don't need anybody else's approval. You've got the boss's approval. It's enough, right? You do not live your life with the objective, the goal of pleasing other people. You don't. Just don't. Just don't do that. Instead, how about go ahead and work towards pleasing the boss? Can't hurt. Can't hurt. In other words, just do the right thing as much as possible, as often as possible, and with as many people, situations, circumstances as can be. That's it. Whether you're a big believer or not so much, that doesn't matter. The words still hold true, okay? But here's the thing, the boss is the one, he's got your destiny all mapped out. Any sort of promotion where all that's concerned does not come from other people. It doesn't. It does, however, come from the boss, period. Think about this. How much time, energy, and even resources at times are you spending in an effort to get approval from others, trying to be well-liked, trying to keep certain friends impressed, staying in good graces with somebody you work for, maybe even just work with? Cut that pressure out of your life. Just gone. Goodbye. Now, today, stat, ASAFP. Use whatever F you'd like, by the way. You absolutely can't follow what's been put in your mind, your heart, your soul, if you're constantly working it where other folks are concerned. Well, what'll they think? What if they don't get it? And what if they don't approve? No. The better take is this. What will the boss think? That's the better take. I would think that it'd be time much better spent working on pleasing him rather than to appease and please other people. Let's go to the Bible, okay? That's like Warner Wolf on the old sportscast. Let's go to the videotape. Well, we haven't got videotape, but we've got the Bible, okay? The Apostle Paul, we're almost all of us know at least the name, if not what he was all about. He had a ton of opinions about just a boatload of things, okay? At one time, got to tell you, he was no friend at all of the church. Was not. He did, however, become a believer. And with that, all of a sudden, once he started doing what he did and acting how he acted, people gravitated toward him. They liked him. They even got to love him, And of course, there was a bunch of others, they weren't quite sure about him. I don't know. Well, there's always those people, and that's fine. More than a little skeptical, these folks were, but that's fine too. Okay, whatever. But even with that going on, people not always being approving. Paul, did you know this? I did, and I forgot about it and was reminded. Paul ended up writing about half of the Bible's New Testament. That, of course, has impacted the world, impacted so many people in such a big way for about 2,000 years, okay? So I got to think that Paul had a heap of pressure on him. I really have to think that, okay? He gives out the secret, though, to handling it all, how he managed to deal with so many other incoming constantly incoming opinions, recommendations, thoughts, hey, what you want to do. Remember that guy? No, no, no. What you want to do is this. No, he had it all coming at him. He wrote, and I quote here, says here, "It matters very little to me what you or anyone else think. I've been faithful," unquote. Boom! Bingo! Okay? That basically just means I'm not looking to you for approval, whomever you may be. I make no decisions, none, zero decisions based upon what you happen to be thinking, including whether or not you like me. None of that changes who I am. Paul clearly wasn't going after pleasing everybody. Just an audience of one. Again, the boss. Okay? The boss. You know who I'm talking about, and so do you. Okay? The one who called and spoke to him, the one who gave him life. In the following verse, he goes on to say, "My conscience is clear." That simply means I've done what the boss has put in my mind, my heart, and my soul to do. And I'm doing it as best as possible. I've gone after the ideas, the goals, and dreams that he's given me and that I have in my mind, in my heart, in my gut. We all have them, don't we? I bet you do. Absolutely. So even back then, some folks just didn't get it, did not. And some were just not on board with it. Okay, fine, do you. But Paul was not directed or influenced by those people's opinions. He wasn't insecure, needing people to reinforce and validate him. No, he didn't have to fit in with the crowd, hey, in with the in crowd. No, BS, man. And I don't mean Barbara Streisand. Think of this. If Paul was in constant need of approval, there wouldn't be 50% of the Bible's New Testament. It just wouldn't exist. Okay? He did stuff like that because it spoke to him. Maybe not literally in his ear, but somewhere, in his gut, you have that feeling. You just do, Here's the thing where this is concerned. Don't miss out on your goals, objectives, and dreams. Don't let that good stuff, and even the great stuff, of course, don't let it pass you by. Because you need other people's approval. They're okay. Oh, that's fine. Looks good to me, Phil. No, who cares what he thinks? Don't be at all worried about what they might think, what they may say, and that they may not accept you. So what? So what? Don't let what's again, right here in your gut, in your heart, don't let it die in the vine because of what others may, which also means may not, think about you. What that is? It's an addiction. It's an addiction to approval that needs to be smashed, destroyed, punted out of your life like nobody's business, okay? You got to escape from that. It's got to be gotten away from. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next quarter, not next year. Now. I'm just saying. Yeah, easier said than done. But you know what? If it was easy, it wouldn't be so worthwhile, and everybody would do it, okay? Better to be more like Paul. Have the mindset and attitude of being bold. Now, we discussed, go boldly, doing bold things a couple of months ago. Dare to be bold, I think was the name of the message. It matters very little, if at all, actually, what others think or what they say. I do not need anybody's approval to do what the boss has tapped me to do, whether it's this program, Common Ground with John Thielon, or any of the things that I do. I don't need anybody's approval but his, okay? I'm fine if other people do happen to, pick up what I'm dropping, but if they don't, okay, again, do what's best for you. Now, because I'm going to do what's best for me, and nobody knows me like me, and nobody knows you like you. By getting approval from people, you're letting them control you. That's not a prescription for success. It just is not. Okay? It's not. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't ever take good, decent, solid advice, or that you don't listen to suggestions or recommendations and things like that from people who you know, trust, and love. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just to be always on the constant lookout for somebody's approval, your spouse, your kids, your neighbor, the guy at work, the guy lives across the way, whomever. What does it matter? This just in. It does not matter. What it does mean to not let others' takes, perspectives, and opinion take the front seat, it means that you're in charge of you. Let what the boss has put in your heart, the boss, let that be up front. Let that be front and center, always. Like Paul did. If you can say that your conscience is clear and that you've searched yourself to the best of your absolute ability and truly believe that this, whatever this happens to be, is something that you're destined to do, again, because the boss himself has somehow put it within you, up here, in here, over here, wherever, then guess what? You don't need a dozen people or so, or a dozen people to confirm it. You just don't. You just don't. You don't need everyone in your family to root for you, to cheer for you. You don't. You don't need your friends, neighbors, or colleagues to give you that big thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up all the way. No, you don't. You don't. And you may not end up getting it anyway. As hard as you may attempt to get it, you may not anyway. The boss sometimes will have others hold back on any big approval, any obvious, overt approval. Okay? Think of that as a test of sorts. Will you let their lack of enthusiasm of whatever you're thinking or doing keep you from becoming who you have been created to be? By doing what does it for you? I wouldn't let it curtail me. I just wouldn't, and I hope you wouldn't either. As I mentioned at the top of the program here, one of the people who I get information or inspiration from the Common Ground program here with John Thielon is, in fact, Joel Osteen. He tells, and he's told this story several times in a bunch of his messages about his dad, John Osteen, who started the church ministry that Joel now leads in Houston, Lakewood Church. He passed about 23, 24 years ago. So he's been gone for several years. But when that happened back, I think it was 99, Joel had to take over, leading basically the Lakewood Church. Wasn't his thing. He was a behind-the-scenes guy. He did TV production and so forth. He was very insecure because, through the years, his dad had been like, oh, come on out with me and help do the service. And he just, no, Dad, it's not my thing. Well, now it became either we do it or we're going to have a problem with Lakewood Church because there was nobody else fit for doing that. So, again, he goes on to say about his insecurities, chapter and verse, again, that he was very insecure. He felt less than qualified to be leader of the church after his dad was the man there for like 30 years. At that point, Joel was in his mid-30s, and he was trying to figure it all out, who he was going to be, how he'd lead, which way he saw the church going, and on and on and on. You can imagine that there were just a boatload of recommendations, input, and again, no, what you want to do is blah, blah, blah. No, okay. So with that, Joel's inner personality, he talks about how he's not an out there kind of guy. He's a people pleaser kind of a person, being kind, doing pretty much anything he can for other people. Yeah, and that could be a good thing. It could be a very good thing. It can also be a detriment. So anyway, there were so many opinions about how to do, what to do at that point once John Osteen passed away at Lakewood Church. And, and as Joel was taking the helm, so to speak, he found it very, very tempting, I guess. Oh, I can't even imagine, to go forward with these opinions in mind from these other people. Evidently, there was a guy who'd been on the church's staff with Joel's dad for a bunch of years. Good friend of his father's. Joel himself knew him since he was a kid, always liked him, and he seemed to be a pretty decent sort. So one day, this guy calls Joel and began to let him know about everything he needed to do. How to be a minister, how to run the church, how to increase this, how to decrease that, how to get it really, kicking around. He was very opinionated and very strongly voiced with his opinions. He told Joel pretty much chapter and verse. There's that saying again. I have to use a different saying, don't I? But he pretty much told Joel if he didn't do all the things that he was telling him about, stuff's going to start falling apart, circling the drain, and bad things are going to happen at Lakewood Church. Folks, let me tell you, there's a very fine line, a very thin designation between separating advice and manipulation. This guy was a manipulator in action. He saw a crack in the wall, and he just barged right through it. Now, Joel, he talks about how he's always up for some good, decent, solid information and whatnot. Why not? Especially the whatnot. Why not? Give me input. Think about this other guy, this man, nothing that he said struck a chord or resonated whatsoever with Joel. Nothing. It was all 100% in diametric opposition to what Joel was thinking and, again, feeling right here, okay? And here's the thing about stuff like that. You can hear the boss speaking to you, okay, way more so than anybody else, period. He's not going to speak to somebody else about your goals, your dreams, your desires, your destiny, basically, and not let you in on it. You're the one he speaks to about all those things, period. That's all, nothing else. And again, it's not necessarily words in your ears. It's that feeling in your inner being. You know what I mean, okay? But otherwise, to do it otherwise, it's not how it works, not even close. Now, others may, in fact, encourage you in your thoughts, your dreams, your ideas, and destiny, but if it's not coming from within you, 99 times out of 100, you're going to want to punt that stuff out of your life. And the 100th time, just toss it to the sidelines, okay? You see what I mean? It's a no-win ever. Don't let others try to force fit you into their little box, okay? Anyway, back to the older gent. After this timeout for water, hydrogen and oxygen working together at your grocer's freezer or refrigerator. Oh, anyway, back to this guy who was advising Joel. He looked up to this guy, Joel did. He did, almost like a father-type figure. And at that point, the thought was, if I don't do what he's suggesting, oh boy, he's not going to approve or support me. He might start stirring up the pot, making some trouble maybe with others. Joel at that point, early on, kept thinking, you need his approval. You'd better take his opinion into consideration. Don't upset this apple cart. Yeah, no, that's not it. These actually, once again, are another example of these little tests that get tossed our way and that we need to get through and pass. And it's not difficult. It's not. It just takes some stick-to-itiveness, okay, some conviction. It comes down to either pleasing other people or pleasing the boss. That's it, nothing else. It's just that simple. Listen, that's just how it is when it comes down to it, whether you're an ardent believer, as I said before, a kind of sort of believer, or whatever else, to me. Anyway, so Joel was a little scared, a little afraid, so to speak, of what this guy was going to think. He might be offended. Afraid he might not like him anymore. Here's another little biblical nugget for you. Fearing people is a dangerous trap to fall into. Not a bad trap, not an unhealthy trap. Dangerous, okay? Not unlike the robot in Lost in Space. There was a reason why the robot would say, danger, because there was, what am I thinking of? Oh yeah, danger, actual danger, okay? Same thing here. Because if you fear people, you can miss opportunities at your goals, at your dreams, at your destiny, folks, okay? If you let others' opinions, oh boy, what'll they think? What if they don't support me or back me? So what? And what if they do? But again, so what? If you let that junk hold you back, you're just very likely to miss out on who you were truly created to be. At that point, and now that this man had made the point with Joel, he goes on to say that there was something, again, within him that bubbled right up to the surface like a holy boldness, so to speak, you know. He was respectful, he was kind, but he was strong, saying basically, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to follow your plans. It doesn't fit with the narrative. I hate that expression, but it's one of the buzzwords anymore, okay? But just it was thanks, no thanks. I'm going to put what the boss put in my heart to work. You see, once in a while, you just have to go it alone, or at least do something that seems like you're going it alone without the backing and support of those who you would have thought were going to be in your corner. Other people are hard-pressed to see what the boss has given you, your thoughts, your dreams, your goals, your objectives, your destiny, your desires, your stuff. They cannot feel what you feel. Can't. It's not possible. So anyway, this older gent, you know, who Joel had known for all those years and who was, he was on staff with his dad. I'll tell you what, he was none too pleased. He told Joel how it was never going to work, how he was missing the mark, and how things were going to fall apart, and, you know, basically, you'll be sorry. No, that's not how it has worked out. But at any rate, this guy, he ended up leaving the church, which was great. Actually, disappointing. What? But right then and there, Joel figured out that this guy's approval was not needed. Period. Same with all of us. You, sorry about that, Mr. Microphone. You, me, him, her, them. And the boss, he's the winning team of one. Simple as that. It's simple as that. So this man didn't approve of what Joel was, you know, laying down. But he did get a humongous heap of favor again from the boss. Why? Because he followed his provided goals, dreams, and objectives, stuff that Joel had in his mind and in his heart and in his soul, you see. It was his destiny, basically, okay? Now, had he listened to this other guy, allowing the fear of other people to be a big factor in these decisions, letting it dictate his life, I bet you he wouldn't be at Lakewood Church today. There may not even be a Lakewood Church, especially like it is today. So, yeah, and I tell you what, you talk about thriving, even in this day and age, it's because of how it's done. It's positive, it's upbeat, it's can-do, it's of good cheer, it's productive. Sound familiar? I think those are the common ground with John THEILLON ways, if I'm remembering properly. So, yeah, just saying. So, you know, so often there's just way too much importance placed upon others' approval. But people didn't call or don't speak to you. And I don't mean to tell a telephone call. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm talking about that inner call, okay? People didn't put you in a favorable light that you are in or could or should be in. People didn't know you before you were even a thought, a gleam, a glimmer, a smile in your parents' heads. That was the boss, okay? Stop already with needing approval from other people. It's enough. As long as you're good to go with the boss, however you do it. Again, a little, a lot, someplace in between, or maybe it's a new thing for you, or maybe it's going to be a new thing for you. Either way, doesn't matter. You're set up or going to be set up for a lot of the good stuff. I'm just saying, that's the way it is. Now, let's go back to the videotaping the Bible again here. Jeremiah, yes, I know. He was a bullfrog. He was a good friend of mine. I was hard-pressed to understand a word that he said, but you know what? He sure knew how to drink his wine, and man, that was mighty fine wine. Three Dog Night, 1970, I believe. Anyway, Jeremiah was told that before he was born, the boss distinguished him as somebody who was going to speak to nations. That's a lot. That's a lot. And that he would be a prophet, an impactor, an influencer, again in today's language, so to say. Here's the thing. Jeremiah was a teenage kid. And he didn't feel anywhere like he was even close to being qualified for any of this business. You kidding me? But the boss let him know that somehow that he, the boss, would give him the words to say. Wherever Jerry went, we'll just call him Jerry, okay? The boss would be right there along with him. And after letting Jerry know about all of this, including that he was about to become a history maker, there was one final thing, which was, Jeremiah, do not fear the people. Whoa, here we go again. See, the boss knew that other people wouldn't get it, comprehend it, understand it. Friends even might not be on board with any of it. It was all about not letting the opinion of others hold Jeremiah back. Jerry, don't let what other people are saying get in the way of, your purpose. Keep moving, man. You've got a purpose. You've got a reason. Do that. Same thing with us. Don't fear the people. And don't fear the reaper, by the way. Blue Oyster Cult, 1981, but I digress. Don't fear the people. I love my rock and roll music, I got to tell you. Don't fear the people. So what if they don't approve or back you or support you? So what? That's not going to stop your purpose. That's not going to curtail your reason, okay? What's going to stop it is if we let others' opinions become more important than what the boss has put within us, in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, okay? Yeah, it's an intangible, but so what? So what? The intangibles are there to create the tangible, the workable, the seeable, the doable. I've seen it happen in my life. I really have, okay? Now, back to Joel Osteen for a second, and I've heard this one from him a few other times. He talks about also in the I want to say mid to late 50s, his before Lakewood, his father was a pastor at another church. They had just built a new building, held about 1,000 people, and that was just wow back then. You didn't have 1,000-seat sanctuaries, church worship areas back in like 1956, 7, 8. You just didn't, okay? So his dad was on the state board for his denomination, and things were really cranking right along. About that time, Joel's sister, Lisa, she was born. And she was born something kind of in the neighborhood of a cerebral palsy type of situation. The doctors back then, they didn't paint a real good rosy picture for her. Like as she would grow up, very possibly not being able to walk or feed herself or things of that nature. That did not go over very well. So naturally, John and his wife Dodie, Joel's parents, were really upset, crestfallen, as my mother would say. So Joel's dad figured, okay, I'm going to get away for just a couple of days. He went off, and he went away for a few days alone. He wanted to grab his thoughts, compartmentalize what was going on, read some Bible, and pray about his little daughter. Do it all, like nobody's business, okay? So as he's reading the good book, all of a sudden the light bulb, boom, goes on. He got it. He got it about how amazing the stories within the Bible, the accounts that are, what do you want to say, laid out in the Bible, how they are, how great they are, okay? Also about how Jesus himself went around healing people and other things equally, if not more amazing. At least that's what John Osteen thought. So, see, here's the thing. He'd been taught that there was no such healing now. No, not now. That was just for back then, the biblical days. That kind of thing doesn't happen now. Come on. It's the 1950s back then, okay? But at that point, here's the thing. John's eyes were open. John Osteen's, Joel's dad's eyes were opened, so to say. He came back to his church. He had this new fire, a new faith. He had sizzle like nobody's business, new excitement. He thought everybody was going to be stoked. Just, yeah, psyched. Nope. They were exactly not stoked, unpsyched. It didn't fit in with the traditions that had been tattooed in these folks' heads. Yes, I said folks', I'm so sorry, in these folks' heads, okay? Joel's dad, again, it's like he got knocked around in the boxing ring in the 12th round. He could have retreated. He could have sat down in the corner. He could have shut up and just let things been, how they were. He could have not rocked that proverbial boat, not wanting people to not like him, going back to how things had previously, including him, how they had been, fearing the people, letting their disapproval tamp out what the boss put in his heart. He didn't do any of that, though. He chose to follow his heart and to please the boss, not to kowtow to other people. There were plenty of people who didn't like it, who didn't get it, and they kind of got a little upset about what John Osteen was talking about, because it just was different. And we as humans, we're reluctant to change, even if the change is for the good. Believe it. So guess what? They asked Joel's parents at that point to leave the church. What? Yeah, bye. Folks, there's always going to be a time, a situation, a circumstance where we're going to have to ask ourselves if we're going to stick with our convictions, our dreams, our desires, and even our destiny, or is it going to be the approval of other people that's going to rule the day, rule our lives? That's impactful. If we suffer from approval addiction, if we're not secure in who we are, if we need others to back, support, endorse, or validate us, the likelihood of regressing and letting them, whoever them would be, taking control of us, is much higher than it ever should be. That's not good. No bueno. Not at all. Conversely, what the boss has in mind for us, I have to think it's pretty fantastic. It is, with that in mind, going to take some boldness on our part. He's set to take us where no one in our families have gone before. Pioneers, trendsetters, innovators, successes in the making relative to what it is we do, how it is we do it, and with whom we do it or don't. Just like with Joel's dad, not everybody's going to get it. Trust me, there are going to be critics, folks who are going to want to discredit you. People who used to be big fans, yeah, big fan, yeah. No, now they're now picking you apart like nobody's business. Whether it's you, me, him, them, her, whomever, they're picking stuff apart. At that point, dig in. Put your heels down in there, dig in deep, and have the demeanor of, I don't give a rip about who is not in my corner. Because why should you? Why should you? Even Jesus did this. If you dig into, and I did a little research here, it's in John chapter 5. That's a good book. That's a nice name. But I digress. John chapter 5. He told the religious leaders of his day, your approval means nothing to me. That was a quote from Jesus himself. Your approval means nothing to me. He didn't rely on those who weren't his fans, who didn't like, back, or support him. No. He also, naturally being the son of the boss, got validation from the boss. Duh. Back to Joel's mother and dad. So, out of that church they went, here's your hat, what's your hurry? On Mother's Day, second Sunday of May, 1959, they started Lakewood Church. Just outside of Houston at that point. No shiny new building, nothing of the sort. They started it all in this rickety former old feed store, dirty, holes in the floors, smelling kind of weird, you know. So what did they do? They did some cleanup. They put some chairs in, some decent wooden chairs and things like that. One of Joel's dad's buddies popped in one day. He saw all this going on. He said, what in the world are you up to out here, all the way out here, being pastor at this little tiny small church? Clearly, this guy, too, was another one who didn't get it, okay? Others, like this guy also, evidently took a lot of pleasure in poking fun and laughing at Joel's dad, what he was doing at that dopey little feed store church and you know, stuff like that. Here again, these are the kinds of tests that are thrown at us, tossed in our direction, and that we need to pass. It's not difficult. It just takes, once again, conviction, stick-to-itiveness. It's as simple as that. You know, stay the course. George Herbert Walker Bush, stay the course, 1,000 points of light. He was right. And it pertains here, too. Right here. Do we want to rely on others' approval, or to do what the boss has put within us? Are we going to let others' opinions, they're usually not really all that great. I have to, I have to tell you, in my 58 years and 3 some months on the planet, others' opinions are not always that fantastic and not even close to good half the time, if not more, okay? Are we going to let those opinions, what they'll think, how I'll be seen, what if people look down on me? Are we going to let claptrap, I love that word, claptrap like that, be the driving force in what and who we are? Hell no. No. Remember, it's dangerous to fear people. Again, not a bad idea, no. Not unhealthy, no. Not bad for you, no. Dangerous. Danger. Danger. Danger when it comes to fearing other people. On the way to our goals, our dreams, our desires, objectives, and destinies, there are going to be people who do not root for you, kids. They're not going to cheer for you. They're not going to get you. They're not going to understand. Believe me here, you'll get nothing of the sort from these knuckleheads. It's okay because it's not between you and them. It's between you and the boss. It's between me and the boss, you and the boss, them and the boss. It's as simple as that. What else? Who else could you need? Answer. No one. No one. No one. People who truly did like John Osteen initially did back then, you know, to keep reading others' scripts, staying who they used to be and all this. It was a regular occurrence and still is. But when he stepped into a new realm, he stepped right on in to that little, feed store church, called it Lakewood. He had a new world of positivity. He was upbeat. It was all about being can-do, and they did. It was all about being of good cheer. They were, and they still are. There were plenty of people who didn't like it. It's like Paul Linden, that one bank commercial in the 70s. You're all being very nice to me, and I don't like it. Well, then go bank someplace else. Then go to church someplace else. How about that? In any event, there was opposition. Critics they bubbled up from everywhere. Everywhere, out from every rock, under every nook and cranny. When the boss compels you to be taken higher, don't be surprised if you get little to no support. No backing, no approval, no nothing from friends, family, whomever you know. They'll say stuff like, well, you're different. You've changed. You're not at all like you used to be. Yeah, no kidding. They want you to stay in that same old box. No thanks, man. No thanks. But at a point like this, where we're being taken, it's someplace that we've never been, now that's exciting to me. Should be to you too. Maybe it is. I hope it is, okay? But the thing of it is, our friends, families, neighbors, colleagues, the folks we know, they can't handle where we're on our way to. They just can't. With all the positive influence, glaringly apparent favor, and whatever else like it. They just, they've always got it. Here, again, it's like my mom or my aunt. Hey, I just won the lottery. Oh, well, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. Really? Can you not be happy that I just won 7 figures? Not that I did, but I would love to. But the whole point is, they're always going to throw a wet blanket on it. Stop. Stop. Get away from that. It's still easy, if we let it, to let others' disapproval, their negativity, the snarky remarks and doubts and so forth, it's easy for that to keep us stuck. Again, if we let it, don't let it. Man, if they only get it and get behind me. Yeah, that'd be great. Man, if they just change their thinking, be for me, be with me. Their approval isn't necessary, guys. It's not. It's not. When they talk to you about how you've changed, you're not who you used to be, just smile and happily say, that's correct. I'm growing. This old doggy can learn a new trick or two. Better tricks. I'm moving up to new plateaus. Personally, professionally, all of it. Spiritually, whateverly. Maybe even to Beverly Hills, that is. Swimming pools and movie stars. You never know. Or something like it. Folks, change is a good thing. It's difficult, it's off-putting sometimes, but it's a good thing. But there are those out there who just can't get their minds around it. They can't get it. They won't get it because they can't get it. So depend on those types. Yeah, you'll be very, very hard-pressed to move forward. I'm just telling it like it is. That's just as real as can be. Again, mayor of Real Town right here, okay? Those critics that told Joel's dad, John, that Lakewood Church wasn't going to last, big mistake. Huge mistake. Humongous, gargantuanly mammoth mistake. It's never going to last. Really? Really? Here we are, 64 years later, and things are rolling along in a very, very great way. Here's the point. The boss, he knows everything about what he's doing, what he's orchestrating, what he's putting within us, in our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls. He knows everything about where he's taking us all. If there's one in the entire universe who does, it's him. Hello? Hello? So often we get so geeked up about what other people think. What'll they say? Will their opinion of me be a good one? Why? Oh, yeah, why? Why do we spend the time? Why do we invest our energy and our resources to perform, basically? You know, no. Why do we do that? To perform for people like this, to try to win them over, make a good impression. Hopefully they'll be in our corner. No. For what? For what? This is the wrong crowd to get approval from. When we're solid and secure in who and what we are being made to do, our talents, you know, our attractiveness, thank you very much, I used to be anyway, our being a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, basically, too, no kidding, then all of this other external validation, it's not needed. I don't need it. I don't. Do you? Nah, I don't think so. Here's another important component of all this. Right now, people can make their opinions known far and wide, easier, quicker, more frequently than ever. I mean, take this show, Common Ground with John THEILLON, for example, okay? In 2003, just 20 years ago, this exact mechanism for me to do what I'm doing didn't exist, wasn't available. Now, thanks to the various audio and video platforms, the technology, online, that, again, didn't exist 15 or 20 years ago like it does now, maybe even 5 or 10, I can now be seen and heard from the East Coast to the West Coast to the Gulf Coast of the United States, even in Europe, Canada, Mexico, or on the Gold Coast of Australia. And social media, love it or loathe it, it's a big part of all this too. Friends on Facebook, followers on Instagram and Twitter and Telegram and whatever the hell else. These are people, hundreds, if not thousands of miles away, who you've never actually met. Never actually met. Yet, they've got an opinion of you. What you wear, what you drive, what you do for a living, where you live, and so forth. They've got an opinion, believe me, they do. They've never gotten to know you, though. They've not actually sat down and visited with you or come to have a meal with you. There's no need at all to have any worry about what these characters think. There's also no need to attempt to impress them. I've got people in my social media life like this. I used to fire right back when they'd say this, that, or the other that wasn't in line with my way of thinking. Or when they'd come directly at me. No more. No more. I don't. What for? It's not fun. It's not productive. It's not worth my time, energy, or joy to be jerked around by some cement head, for example, in Mississippi, who enjoys pointing out things, whether it's politically or societally or whatever the hell else, that are 180 degrees away from my perspective. And you know what? They know it. They know it, and they know it, and they know it. It's all an attempt to have me engage with them in an argumentative way. I used to. No more. Not going to do it. Nope. Their low information and or low IQ ways are not what the boss has put within me. It's not what he's given me to take me higher. It's not. So they can do what they do. They can have it. And they can keep it. People like this, they are just bound and determined to not understand you whatsoever. You know, 2 plus 2 to them, 2 plus 2 was 22. You know what I mean with the two twos together? No, it's absolutely 22. You put 2 and 2 together, it's 22. No, it's 4. Nope, it's 22. Okay, you know what? Goodbye. No. Their comments, their thoughts, their takes, they're not about you. They're not about me. They're not about us. What it is It's highly indicative of them. They have issues that have gone undealt with. They're hacked off, ticked off, pissed off, torqued off, teed off. They're angry, they're unpleasant, they're upset, they don't like themselves, and on and on and on. It's just the way it is. Now, is it any surprise that people like this are going to find fault with people like you and me? Really? Here's the dirty little secret. They're not going where we're going. They're just not. By attempting to please others, everybody else wanting to win their support, we're not only going to miss out on new levels that truly do belong to us or are about to belong to us or both, but we're going to miss out on the joy, the peace, the winning that's in store for us. I'm telling you, just as sure as God makes little green apples, this is the deal. Losing who we truly are, that's a problem. With wanting to live for others' approval, it's a problem. It can be all-encompassing, working on being who everyone else wants us to be. It's exhausting, too. It really is. And it can make our lives confusing as hell. Ugh, thank you, no. Maybe be like Paul, searching within us, within ourselves, within our own hearts, minds, bodies, and souls. When our consciences are clear and we know we're being led, follow that gut feeling. It's easy, man. It really is. You know what I mean. You've been there. You get it. That feeling that when things are right, you continue. You're like full bore, like nobody's business, man. And when that feeling is less than right, ooh, you feel that and you back away. I had something like that happen to me this week, and I got right away from it very, very quickly. Don't be distracted with the feeling that you need to get everybody in your corner. That's a lot of pressure, too much. Trying to please other people, constantly convincing them to be with you so as to keep chasing what's in your heart. No, it's your stuff, not theirs. Let them alone. Back to Joel Osteen for a moment. So after he was done with high school, he went off to college, knowing that one day he would want to go home to the Houston area to work at Lakewood. You know, maybe start a TV ministry, which, interestingly enough, is going great guns now all this time later. But anyway. So off to college he went, I think, in 81, thereabouts, okay? So since Joel was a kid, too, from like 5th grade, 9, 10, 11 years old, he really enjoyed things like the cameras, the lighting, and TV production. Junior high school and high school, he'd run the camera for the services. They would videotape or televise somehow, and they still do, for Lakewood. He'd goof around with the video equipment after school and on weekends, too. So it was a natural fit that when he went to college, he ended up studying TV production. I did a bunch of that myself in college. It's an interesting emphasis. It really is. Now, as he was coming to the end of his freshman year, his first year, he got, again, right down here, he got that feeling that, you know what? Now's the time. Now's the time. Time to get back home, back to Lakewood, and get things going. It wasn't or isn't like Joel is not pro-education. That's not it. He certainly is. But he just knew, again, best about him, what was within him, that the boss was pointing him in this direction, right there, right then. Here again, the thought occurred, well, what'll people think? Will they look at me negatively because of only doing 1 year at college? What if folks think I couldn't hack it and as a result I couldn't continue, let alone finish college? What if people dismiss or discount me? What if I'm looked at as a failure? He was struggling. I mean, you figure, what are you, freshman year, 18, 19 years old? He was struggling about it. He was wrestling in his mind about it, and not just a little bit from what he has recounted. So he finally talked with his dad, John, about it. John, he was a thumbs up all the way about, he was on board with it. He goes, yeah, now's the time, let's go. He said, just go with what has been put in your heart. Now, Joel's mom, no surprise, it's a female thing, no big deal, it just is. She was not initially as, shall we say, enthusiastic about it all. But here's the point. The boss's plans for you and your life will most likely be very different than his plans for everyone else, including all the others in your family. Could be something that's not typical, a non-traditional thing, an initiative, or an approach. And with that in mind, only you can hear that little voice, that feeling within you about what's been put in your heart, your mind, and your soul for you. Others, they're going to remain staying within the lines. The lines are our friends. Do not go outside of the lines. The lines, once again, are our friends. Stay within the lines, please. Watch the tram car, too, while you're at it, please. Okay? And they won't get it. People like that are not going to get it about your course of action. These are the people who say, kind of like Frank Burns and in MASH, you know, if you're at all a MASH TV show fan, when he said, I'm all for being individuals, doing our specific thing, just as long as we do it together. What? That makes no sense. Here again. Be bold. Yeah. Go and do. Be. Do your thing. What the boss has tapped you to be. How he's made you. What he's made you. What he's nudging you to do, you know? Do that and doors are going to open. You'll find out that you've got abilities, acumen, and talents that you maybe never realized that you had. Do not let fear of other people, of what others think, keep you from doing good things, positive things, productive things, even great things. They're there. It's low-hanging fruit. You just have to look up at the tree, so to say. You know what I mean? Back to the Bible. David and his men had just been able to get the Ark of the Covenant back, okay? That was, of course, the symbol of where God lived. It had been stolen about 20 years earlier, I think by the Philistines, if I'm thinking correctly. Now, coming back, David and his guys, woohoo, you know, big win. And it was being carried back into Jerusalem. Pretty big celebration, I have to say, from what I've read. People all happily shouting, hooting, hollering, blowing trumpets, carrying on like their hometown team just won the Super Bowl, and that the Lombardi Trophy itself was being carried through the streets. Basically, this was a day that they'd hoped and dreamed for 2 decades. So, King David, he was wearing a long robe, a priestly cloak, I guess you could say, and he was stoked, man. He was pumped, and he because of that, he was dancing all over, just like a happy little lunatic. I mean, in a great way, he was just woohoo. Okay, so there he was. There's David, this prestigious leader and all, but he was not holding back his joy. That's a good thing too. Okay, he was out there, man, front and center, celebrating the Ark's return like nobody's business, man. So now, up in the window, right over there, a couple stories up, was his wife, who also was King Saul's daughter. She's watching all this, wet blanketson, so to say. She's watching all this from a distance. She sees David dancing, jumping around, letting loose. He's happy as can be. And with that, now and again, the bottom of the robe would open up and his legs would be visible. The Bible's account says that she was none too pleased about that. Filled with contempt are the words in the Bible. You know, she just hated what David was up to. So a little later on, he gets home and she freaking blasts him, sarcastically saying, how glorious of the king that the king of Israel looked today, out there dancing like a fool, letting everyone see your legs like that. To which David replied something to the effect of, listen, I wasn't dancing for you to like, not like, or whatever. I was dancing for the boss. Boom. Period. He was willing to be, David was, he was willing to be a little silly in order to show true appreciation for what the boss did here, what he was able to have David and his guys do. The thought pretty much being, here again, what you think of me won't stop me from being me. If you don't like what I do or how I do it, that's okay. It's not going to sidetrack me from what I'm all about and from where I'm going, period. David wasn't manipulated, controlled, or affected by others' opinions, others who just didn't get it, even his wife. He didn't sweat it. He didn't care what folks thought. We all have people like David's wife in our lives. It might even be your wife or your husband or, you know, somebody very close to you. Been there and done it. We all have people like that. Listen, you're doing what's best for you, what the boss has tapped you to do. You're doing the right thing. But even with that, all that some people can do is pick it apart, find some fault, thinking less of you than perhaps they used to. You know, things like, why don't you go out drinking with us anymore on the weekends? What's with all the staying home all the time with your family? Come on, man. Yeah, that might have been a little fun back in my early 20s, mid-20s, maybe even 30. I don't know about any of you, but it's really just not my thing anymore. I'd rather be more like David, doing what I want, not needing anybody else's approval. I'm not making any moves based upon what you think of me. No disrespect, I'm just not, okay? I'm taking the high road whenever I can. I'm doing the right thing. Damn it, you got to do the right thing, just like Tony Ligi right over here at the Glendale Inn in Chambersburg section of Trenton used to say, I can't be everywhere. It was an Italian restaurant. Looked like something out of Casablanca. I can't be everywhere. I got to make sure you know what to do, and then you got to do the right thing, okay? Damn it, do the right thing. You got that butter melting on the dish there. Take the butter away, get more ice, and put the butter back. Do the right thing for when people come in. It's as simple as that. And it's not always easy, because even when the right thing isn't the easiest to do, it is still worthwhile. Don't let people, strong arm you, bend your arm behind you into doing what's not you. That's not the ticket. Why would we want to lower our standards, especially knowingly? Listen, hiccups happen. But to bull rush into a sketchy situation, no thanks. Others might not like it, understand it, or get it, and that's okay. It's a whole mind over matter type of thing. You shouldn't mind that their takes don't matter. It's as simple as that. Interesting to note, David ended up being pretty much the greatest king that ever lived. Others before and after him, the ones who kowtowed to others' approval, they lost their kingdoms, and usually they did so in no uncertain terms. If you're at all worrying about what other people think of you, and it's keeping you at a standstill, and you probably know all about it right now, or whenever you want, it's a huge opportunity for all of us to bust out of that BS once and for damned all, okay? Where we should be all heading is to take some fearlessness into consideration. Be bold and so forth, Again, everyone's not going to get it. There will be those who won't approve. They're going to give you a bad look, a zing, a shot, a dig. It's okay. Keep on heading in your direction. Do it. Do you. Absolutely do what's best for you, because no one knows what's best for you other than the boss than you do. The direction the boss has put in your mind and your heart and your inner being, that's where you need to go. And as we always do around here, let's keep working on continuing to relentlessly pursue perfection in an ongoing effort to attain excellence. That's the constant concept here, kids, along once again with positivity, being upbeat, can-do, and of good cheer. And that, too, is exactly the ticket, highly worthwhile, as we all continue on our trek toward common ground. Trust me here, folks. Take it to the bank. Do not doubt me. And as always, by these things I stand. That's all of it, kids. That's it. That's it. That's enough. I've said it all. I've said enough. Once again, give the rest of the week your best shot, your best shot, not their best shot. Have a fantastic weekend coming up, too. It's going to get cold here in the Northeast, but just for Saturday. I'm going to slide on out of here, okay, for now. So I want to thank you for your time this time. Until next time, God bless you, too. This has been Common Ground with John THEILLON. Thank you for watching and listening. So long.